around 1 or 2 years ago, I'm watching this podcast from Andrew Tate, and he's talking about how he doesn't understand how there are so many young men that want to work, want to be productive with their online businesses and getting in shape and so on, but they just don't feel like putting in the work, and therefore they don't take action, and they had no results. And now I understand him more and more as I mature a bit more and more. Now look, I'm not the most absolute mature guy, but just recently I had this quite a level up in my maturity level, and I just felt this. And I had also the idea of, I realized more and more that, wait, the idea of I don't feel like doing this productive work, that's just childish. That just shows you're not mature yet. An individual who is more mature will get his work done whether he feels like it or not. Now I understand way better what Andrew was trying to say on that podcast. Discipline is somewhat linked to maturity. The more mature you become, the more disciplined also you'll probably become, or at least if you do it the right way. So let me tell you some tips that I've used that helped me a lot with this. Because even in the past days, bro, my productivity probably 5 or 10x. I know that sounds kind of like insane, but it's powerful. It's true. It's true. So first thing that I started to do some time ago was to start thinking like a 40-year-old man. 40-year-old successful man. Why? I heard this concept from this guy Chris Sturmy on the channel First Man, and he's a guy in his 30s and all that stuff, and he talked about how, because he and his friends that are under 30, like 28 or something, they're literally multi-millionaires and all this and that, because and they take way better decisions and start thinking like a more mature man, instead of just having this mindset of just pleasure constantly and no responsibility. So he said that's the reason why they're successful, and he is as well. They matured way quicker, and they operate from this mindset of a 40-year-old successful man. And when you do that, you start actually taking more care of your health and start working and doing your work. And you have no more excuse of, oh, I don't feel like it. That's just stupid. That's a stupid excuse. You look it straight into the eyes and know what it is. It's just an excuse. It's immature. It's not something that will benefit you either way. You just get it away, and you understand way more how all these things are just nonsense. And you start all these video games, all these whatever addictions, you just start you start seeing how silly they are, and you lose interest in them. And that's the first step, right? Think like a 40-year-old man. And you might say, oh, but I want to have fun, Sebastian. I want to go to this place, that place, have a bunch of fun with my friends, whatever. Look, as Chris said with the progression bias, what you want now is not necessarily what you will want in the future. So if you know for a fact, if you will want the awesome lifestyle, being in great shape, like actually building a strong, masculine, powerful body, and staying healthy, and actually helping people through that, and having an amazing life, well, why wouldn't you work towards that right now? Because either way, that's what you want for the rest of your life in the future. So you might as well just work on that right now. So, and the moment I started to do that, bro, and the more I listened to that, oh boy, I made so much more progress. It's insane. And also you start setting some standards, because you actually start thinking like a 40-year-old man. You think, okay, I gotta put some standards into play. I cannot waste my time just staying up too late and doing some nonsense. Okay, I gotta go. Okay, 10 p.m. bedtime. Every time, every night, 6 a.m. Put an alarm. Wake up 6 a.m. every day. Go and do that. Focus on that one thing for like hours and hours, or at least however much time you have. That one most important thing that will move the needle, that will actually make the most progress, because it's the most important and essential. You focus on that. You set yourself certain standards, and once I actually started to do this, these are my examples, I started to make huge progress. Huge progress. And truly, the idea of I don't feel like doing the work, that's just immature. You got mature. So again, that's the first step, right? Like start thinking like a 40-year-old man. Now number 2, your purpose and your one thing. What I mean by this is, if you try to be disciplined just for yourself, you'll probably fail. But if you, at least at the beginning, right? But if you try to be disciplined, knowing that you have the responsibility of leading other people, for example, on a YouTube channel, you will be more disciplined for them. If it was just for you, you probably wouldn't do it. But now that you have this responsibility, and either way you love it, it's not a bad thing, it's a great thing, it's an amazing thing. That's exactly what you do. And you might say, but Sebastian, I don't want to start a YouTube channel. Why not? Try. It doesn't need to take long. This is for your accountability, right? So thing is, start just making some videos, start getting some audience, and that's for your accountability. You know that, okay, people will watch this. I gotta make sure that I stay on top of these things and stay more disciplined, and you'll feel this sense of responsibility, because you need to make sure you are disciplined so that you can lead better your people, and you have this sense of, if I slip, they fall. I gotta make sure I'm way more responsible, and you'll automatically start taking the actions that will make you more responsible and that will make you more disciplined, and you'll get more work done. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just post a video, talk about whatever area you have massive progress in, or at least some progress in. You don't need to be super advanced in whatever. You just need to be like one step further, one step ahead of the people you lead. You can choose to help people with a problem that you faced. You got some progress in it, maybe some fitness stuff, maybe some business stuff, maybe some whatever, maybe some discipline even, right? Perhaps you're not the most disciplined guy, but if you want to truly teach people about this because you had a massive transformation in that or whatever other area, you just need to be one step further than them, and just make some videos, and you'll have this sense of accountability. Okay, all these people, or a bunch of people, are about to perhaps watch these videos of mine. I might as well keep myself on top of things, right? I don't want to let them mess up. I gotta become more responsible. And you might say, oh, but Sebastian, I don't want to take the responsibility. Well, you won't become as mature if you don't want to do this. That's the thing. And you might say, oh, but maybe I can use some other aspects of discipline that you, Sebastian, teach. Perhaps. But this too is a huge one. Do you understand that you can 10x your progress and discipline by simply using these principles, by becoming this more mature? This is insane. So start a YouTube channel. You don't need to overwhelm yourself. You don't even need to edit videos. You just open the camera, talk about some stuff you have more progress in, and just upload it. Just do that. And thing is, you will have this sense of responsibility, and your maturity level will increase therefore, because you know you have all these people to lead and to make sure you don't let them down. So therefore, you must stay on top of things yourself. That's what I mean. And pick that one thing that is in your work, in your business, whatever, that is the most important thing for you. We all want productivity, right? So for example, for me, that my one thing is making these videos. Yeah, sure, I have the sales goals. By the way, I help you with some stuff. You can check them out if you need some help with discipline, with confidence, consistency, and so on. Yes, I also want to make some, also have some courses already, want to make some kind of program that will be like super helpful for you, sure. But if I don't make videos, nothing gets done either way. And either way, I love helping you, even through these videos that are free, like, of course. And thing is, if I didn't make these videos, you wouldn't watch this, you wouldn't see this, and wouldn't get the value so that you change your life. And so thing is, that's the most important thing, for me at least, right? Because if this doesn't get done, well, nothing else gets done. And you cannot get the value, you cannot change your life. And so thing is, that's the one thing for me. So what's, as Gary Keller said in his book The One Thing, what's the one thing that if you do, everything just becomes unnecessary or easier, let's say. Focus on essentialism, right? Just do that. Now, next thing is, think more about, and this is interesting, right? You perhaps never heard this before on YouTube as an advice on discipline specifically, but for to become more mature also, you gotta start thinking longer term. Not, it's not just this. I mean, think about your future wife and your future children. That's what I mean. And even think about what names you want them to have, and visualize you having awesome times and whatever, and being that. And this will make you become the kind of man that you gotta be, so that you can take care of them, protect them, and even have the chance to be, in that kind of environment. Because if you're not the right type of man, you won't be the kind of woman you want, and you won't have the children you want. So point is, you gotta become better yourself, and this like kind of lights a fire, lights you on fire, puts you on fire to actually think longer term and move towards this thing, and put your focus a bit more into this and becoming this kind of proper man, instead of just wasting your time with stupid pleasures like video games, like porn, like wasting stupid time on internet with all these videos that are not helpful for you and so on. So that's massive, right? You can even do what I want. Pardon me, my words. You can even do what I did by just putting names, or at least thinking about what do you want to name your children, and what name do you want your future wife to have. Why? Because when you go more specific, it becomes more meaningful and more exciting. And so you can do that. Your maturity level will massively increase. You will think longer term, and you will focus on becoming that kind of man that is more disciplined, that is this and that. And as Charlie Morgan says, when you have this massive goal that is super meaningful to you, you'll align your behavior to it. And so that means that you will get rid of the bad habits because they pull you in the opposite direction, and you don't want that. You cut them off, even if they're super you have a big craving. Still, you want the goal so much more that you are willing to get that pleasure away and remove those bad habits from your life for good. So that's massive. That should tell you really something, right? And that's interesting as well, right? I mean, it's huge. And 4 is to understand that what you spend most of your time in the day on, that will influence you a lot. So before, some let's say a month ago or something, I was, let's say, having a bit of a bad mental health because I was feeling lonely and stuff, because I was with my grandparents in the village, and there weren't as many people there, and I felt a bit alone. And so thing is, I wanted to just spend more time outside and do other things that improved my mental health, which is fine, fair enough in that case. But now that I came here in the city, I don't have that problem anymore, and I'm feeling fine. And so thing is, I started to focus for hours and hours and hours on just one thing, my one thing, making the videos, right? For example, I read a book, The One Thing, in like 2 days. I took notes from it, and with that, I made the last video that you see right now on YouTube, that I made. If I put them in an order. So thing is, when I was focusing more on those activities for mental health and all that, I was focused more on that and less focused on work, which sounds obvious, but you actually feel that it affects how you think and move and what decisions you make, more on the emotional side or more on the logical, productive side. And once I've started to actually get all the whatever activities I had and just put them later in the day, after like 2:30 p.m. and from 6 a.m. to around 2:30 p.m. just work on making these videos as good as possible, getting information for them. Like I'm looking at the script right now, it's pretty big, It's quite something. Making this as valuable as possible, so that I get this information in, and I tell you about the experiences I had with the results I had, and getting all this information and giving it to you. The more I put work into this, the more value I can bring to you, and the more value I give to you, the more you'll be able to solve your problems. The more I give value to you through these videos, for my one thing, the more you alleviate your pain. And pain is alleviated when problems are solved. And so thing is, that's my one thing. That's it. Now you gotta find yours. Basically, what's the most important thing that if you do, everything else will become unnecessary or easier. And basically Pareto rule, 80-20, but even go extreme, maybe even 90-10. What's the thing that will take 80 or 90% of your time that is the most important, that you gotta do, that you gotta focus on? Focus on that one thing for hours uninterrupted. Put all your working hours in the day scattered around the day and just combine them together, because that'll be huge for your flow state. It will be way better. I got way better results with it. My productivity perhaps skyrocketed 10. I mean, of course it did. I mean, but perhaps it 10x. I meant to say 5 or 10x is massive. Do you realize from 6 a.m. to like 2:40 is like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish hours, something like that. 8.5 if I'm correct. Massive. Imagine that, like no distractions, like nothing in between. I mean it. Maybe just going to the bathroom sometimes, whatever. But maybe sometimes not even that. Think about that. You just wake up, take a cold shower like I do, like I did today, and all the so many past days before this. And then I just do my work for like 8 hours and stuff. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to do whatever good habits right now, like journaling, meditation. That's all good and stuff. Beginning outside, cool. But I put them later in the day. And literally nothing but my productive work until like 2:30 p.m. So I got to make this video, and then I gotta see perhaps maybe some bits, cut them out in the editing stuff. Analyze my speech also, so that I can bring my points across better. I gotta start doing that, so that my articulate speaking abilities are better, and I can explain in a more simple way all these things, like teach it even better. And then yeah, I gotta see what else to do in terms of this productive stuff, productive work, because until 2:30 is just that. And my productivity skyrocketed. It's massive. You just do that one thing. That's huge. Alright, so what you spend most of your time doing will basically affect how you think, how you behave, what you do, how productive you are, and so on. So pick that one thing and focus most of your time in the day on that. And also have a routine. And I don't mean just a morning routine with a bunch of good habits and all that. Sure, those are good. Meditate, journal, and get outside, gratitude journal, and so on. But thing is, you waste a bunch of time because you do all those habits in the morning, but you get no work done. No productive work on your business, on helping your people as a leader. You're getting nothing done, bro. You're getting nothing done. Think about it, you guys. I mean, think about it. You can just wake up, do a bunch of work, and write your goals down, and so on. That, like, have a system, a routine in the morning for this, for the most important thing that will move the needle forward, and then do the other whatever habits that are good for you. I mean, that's it. And you just have this routine and just stick to it, because you don't want things to be disorganized. You might say, oh no, I can do it. Trust me, bro. You need some kind of system for this, alright? That's what I mean. And number 5 is an interesting one. You perhaps didn't expect this. Or maybe you did. Is to actually dress more in a more mature way. And I'm not the best at this yet. Perhaps especially not with white colors. If you see it on the screen, I gotta put some images. But basically, I managed to massively improve my style. That's why I believe, at least, and also making it into a more mature one, rather than just only wearing t-shirts and shorts, which you can still do, and I still use like only like good, more mature, darker colors like black and like brown and stuff to make it more masculine, more mature, more looking better, and also fit me good. But in general, now I dress in a more, let's say, mature, masculine, professional way. And I got this idea from, again, from Chris Sturmy on his channel First Man. He made a video with men's summer fashion is just trash, and I got some awesome ideas, and I tried to replicate it. Of course, it's not the same colors. Perhaps I should have gone a bit darker, not just actual white. But still, it makes me feel way more mature. You might say, "Oh, but Sebastian, don't you put a certain, come on, what's the word, man? Don't you put a certain aspect on yourself that is not you?" Look, whatever you do for enough time, it becomes authentic. So either way, that can become your new authentic style. And thing is, it helps a lot because what you wear affects how you think and how you feel about yourself and the stuff you're doing and how you manage to do it. Trust me, it will be a huge difference between you wearing just a bathrobe and compared to you dressing professionally, a shirt, some good, nice, elegant jeans, some shoes or some loafers, for example, and a hat or some that is professional, some Italian style or something. That's huge difference in terms of the way you handle yourself, your productivity, and also the energy you have. Do you think you'll have more energy in a bathrobe, in pajamas, in shorts and t-shirt, or in something elegant that shows professionalism? When you start taking more care of yourself, and by the way, just we gotta start also ironing our stuff ourselves and take care of all this. Simply because it's huge. We gotta take more responsibility for this aspect as well with how we dress, right? So that's another thing that will make you more mature. And again, I'm not the most mature guy ever, but I made quite some progress because of all this stuff. So that's step number 5. Now step number 6, and please take notes, guys. Please take notes. This is huge. You want this to change your life? Please take notes. Number 6. Begin talking with perhaps a bit of a lower tone, your authentic lower tone, and also perhaps speak a bit slower, not too fast, and perhaps speak a bit less in general. Because I had quite some problems with this, right? So, first of all, you might say, "But Sebastian, I don't want to try to speak like this with a too deeper voice." That is not authentic, of course. That's not good. I try to speak more like, no, that's not sustainable and that's not good. That's not your true authentic voice. What I mean by this is being able to effortlessly use a deeper tone that is yours already, that you already have, because you right now have a spectrum, some levels of how deep your voice is or how high of a pitch it is, and you right now are probably speaking with a kind of, okay, let's say these are the margins, the barriers, and you speak more like here, right? More like here with higher pitch. If you go a bit lower, it's still your authentic tone, but yeah, you just go a bit lower. Because if you speak with too high of a tone, kind of trying to speak like this is just more childish. So try your best to speak a bit of a lower tone and also pause more and think before you speak. Actually articulate your words better. Actually take yourself more seriously. And people will start doing that as well. So that's something you can do. And also, talk a bit slower. You don't need to talk too fast and do this and that. Sometimes I make this mistake. It's not the best thing. And definitely sounds unprofessional and not that mature. It sounds a bit childish. Another quick lesson is quit talking too much with yourself. and perhaps you have this problem. If you do, if you don't, it is what it is. But if you relate to this, I used to speak constantly, verbalize what I was thinking all the time, basically almost each and every second. It was annoying, it was distracting. I was not as productive because I was constantly distracting myself, not being able to get in flow state because I was thinking whatever I thought that, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, okay, maybe I should do this thing. I literally was talking about what I was thinking all the time, all day, pretty much. Not every second, but you get the point. Like so much. It was super irritating, super annoying, kind of childish because it seems kind of stupid, kind of silly to do that, and you don't have any self-control because it becomes a habit. You gotta stop that if you have that same problem. Just speak less. Who do you think will make exponential more progress and have way better productivity? A guy who speaks with himself way more, like you perhaps do, or like I did, or a guy who just shuts up and just does the work. That's what I started to do more. Just shut up and just do the work. And it sounds weird, but massive progress. Way more self-respect and way more self-control. You teach yourself to have self-control. It's massive. So that will help you a lot as well. Alright. So, number 7. Live as if your father were dead. And please don't think that, oh, what a weird thing to say or something like, why would you think that? Of course, to love your dad. But point is, the purpose of this principle, I got this from David Deda's book. And he said basically, you gotta take your own you gotta take your responsibility of your life and actually do the stuff, choose the purpose that you want. Actually, there's only one purpose. If not, you don't like it. Something else, I mean. But point is, you gotta choose your own stuff to do, not necessarily what your dad or your mom, etc. tell you to do. Now, of course, don't be a degenerate. Don't take some uncalculated risk or some dumb stuff. Point is, if you want perhaps something in entrepreneurship or whatever, some career, choose that perhaps, or look more into it. Because don't just choose to live how your parents or some other people that don't have the life you want, don't just choose to live like they tell you to do, because their perception is just what they believe should be right to do, not necessarily what you want. And they might say, oh, but we know you we know you better than you do yourself. First of all, that's just not true. It's impossible. You don't live in my body. I know what I want better. And God knows, actually, the best what you should be doing. God gives you purpose. God gives you... Bro, I wouldn't even be having this YouTube channel if it wasn't for God. All glory to God, 100%. I wouldn't even be here. I would probably still not even be on self-development. I would feel depressed and disgusting and lonely and sad if it wasn't for God. So all glory to God, first of all, right? And that's not a thing. Be on faith. Be with Jesus. Trust in Jesus. You'll have such a mental peace, inner peace. Nothing, so many more things will just not faze you at all. Simply because you have faith in Jesus, in God. That's it, right? So, I remember, right, my dad was trying to tell me, oh, perhaps go into programming and stuff, right? Now, mind you, for a long time, for long years, I grew up without my dad, because he was, abroad, I think is that word. He was in another country. He still went on to visit, like, let's say 1 or 2 times a year when he could. He still cared about us, but the point is, I matured way more simply because I did not have that dad figure right near me. And I feel this when I was with him. And we had some great time, but point is, I was not feeling as mature and as independent in a good way, right? I still care about family. Don't have this stupid idea of independence, whatever, of yourself. You just, I don't care about them, whatever. No, still care about your family. The point is, I did not have the maturity. I did not feel, as mature and as capable or something, because you have that difference that okay, this your dad and so on, like whatever. Point is, do what you want to do, not necessarily what your dad or mom want to do. So my dad wanted me, perhaps he recommended me to, perhaps you should go into programming, and he was talking about that. I didn't want to, man. I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe I should do that. Maybe at the beginning, man, I don't know, maybe I should. My whole life was about to drastically get changed simply because of one decision. Do you understand how stupid that is? Do you understand how also powerful that is? One decision can shape your life. And I'm glad I did not keep pursuing programming, because truly be told, look, I have nothing against it, but it's not for me. In terms of, I can start doing it, I just don't necessarily like it. I don't find it meaningful. That's the thing. And so I choose to focus on something else, what I actually want to do. You should too. You should think longer term. You should think, what do I actually want to do, right? Not just listen to whatever people tell you, but actually listen to people that have the life you want. And it's individual. It's for each and every single one of us individually is different, perhaps. Sure, there are people that do the same thing, but point is, probably for each and every one of your family is different. Or at least for you probably want to do something else. Just focus on that one thing, not necessarily what other people tell you to do. That's what I mean. And start acting more mature. Therefore, you will become that kind of character. You might say, "Oh, but Sebastian, is this not authentic?" Bro, it can be authentic. Look at what we all know movies and watched movies, right? The actors there do not behave like that in their normal life. It's common sense. I hope those actors that you see in movies, they don't act like that in real life. And you might say, Sebastian, but what does that mean? What does that have to do with all this? If you watch actors, they say that even after the movie is done, or let's say even in their free time, they start behaving unconsciously, automatically like that character, because they repeated the actions and the beliefs and what the character says and how he says it and so on. They start adopting that style, so it becomes authentic for them. So that goes to show, the more you spend time in a specific state or doing a specific thing, that thing will become authentic eventually. So point is, you can become more mature and change yourself. Don't think it's silly or something. Actually start taking some action, and have some visual proof, right? So number 8, know your real edge and don't fake it. What I mean by this is, the mind always wants to quit, but perhaps not fully, because you still want to keep pursuing that thing because you know it's important. But what I mean by this is, for example, on my 10-kilometer runs, right? Because I prepare for this mini marathon 10.5K, and then I want to prepare for an actual marathon 41K, perhaps, or 20K. I gotta see. The point is, I have on 29th of September this event of running, and whenever I am on a 10-kilometer run, my mind wants to kind of somewhat quit, not fully, but somewhat quit, way before my run is done. I still have a bunch of kilometers to go, pretty much every time, and the mind feels a bit of discomfort, right? And I don't listen to that, because I just simply know that my real edge is way further. I'm not I'm not at the breaking point yet. I'm still kind of in a comfort zone somewhat. It's somewhat uncomfortable, but I know my body can go for way longer. So that means I'm not at the end point yet. I can still go for like so much more, half an hour, 1 hour more, and I know that, and I've done that so many times, and I've raised my standard, and I know what I'm capable of. So I don't listen to my mind. I don't stop, because I know my real edge is way further beyond. So point is, you gotta see where your real edge is and actually go and live at that real edge. And let me quickly read to you this small part of the chapter from this book, The Way of the Superior Man, written by David Deida. How to become more advanced than other men, I mean, basically, and more disciplined, more mature, this and that. So he says something like, where your real edge is doesn't really matter. It just matters whether you live at it or not, whether you lean beyond it or not. So you might not know exactly for sure where that real edge is, but you constantly gotta push yourself to newer heights. And for example, right, in your productive work, you don't feel like working, you gotta get yourself into work. You gotta make this habit out of, when you don't feel like it, just focus on that one thing. Okay, for this time, let's just do the work even if I don't feel like it. And also what you'll realize is that how you feel about the thing is not necessarily how it will feel. You might think that, oh, I wouldn't like this, I wouldn't like focusing on this task right now because I don't feel like it. But then when you actually start doing it, you realize, oh, I actually enjoy this. It's just stupid. The mind doesn't want us to work. And so the thing is, let me try to find that chapter. Quickly read that. So it says here, the more a man is playing his real edge, the more valuable he is a good company for other men, the more he can be trusted to be authentic and fully present. Whereas a man's edge is located is less important than whether he is actually living his edge in truth, rather than being lazy or deluded, says David Deida. And it's so true. It sounds simple. You just gotta do, when you think, yes, I gotta be disciplined and all that. I guarantee so many times, or maybe even every time, when you say, yes, I gotta be disciplined, but actually go and do a thing that just feels hard, you probably don't do it. Simply because it's just, I don't feel like it type of idea. You gotta mature. You gotta mature, you gotta go and do that task. And you gotta make your goals specific of why you do this thing, because when it gets hard, you gotta remind yourself of why you're doing it in the first place. So specify those goals, make them more meaningful, and think longer term, right? When you do that, you'll align your behavior with that kind of person that you gotta become. That is way more mature. That is way more professional. That operates at a way higher level. And also listen to people that are like that, right? Guys like Chris Sturmy, Wes Watson, Andrew Tristan Tate, whatever. I mean, Bedros Keuilian, Ed Mylett, Tim Grover, and so on. Charlie Morgan. The next thing is visual proof. And by that I mean having so many wins that you can see, that is literally visual proof that you start to become this new higher level guy. For example, look at this accountability journal, right? Pretty much every task ticked. And this for months and months and months and months. And I hope you can see it. I'm pretty sure you can. Months and months, right? So the thing is, you gotta start doing this as well. Take a small notebook and start noting some non-negotiables, some tasks that you don't negotiate with yourself whether you feel like it or not. Do I feel like doing this today? Do I not? No. Put some work tasks for your whatever online business or whatever you do, and also some good habits that you know you gotta do. For example, I put, okay, deep work, meditate, exercise, track calories, read from actual books, right? And stuff like, what else? Journal, write goals down, and post accountability, and so on. Learning, stretching, etc. And there are some non-negotiables that you gotta get done each and every single day. Whether you feel like it or not, you gotta get done. You gotta force yourself. And if you miss a box, your confidence will get lower, of course. Because why would you trust yourself if you don't actually complete what you want to do? How stupid is that? Think about that. Do you understand how massively this will skyrocket your discipline and your maturity level and standard? Simply because you actually begin trusting yourself way more through this. You expect yourself to complete each and every single one of them. Come on, don't be childish, bro. Don't be silly. Complete each and every one of them. Actually grow up and get them done. Otherwise, how do you expect people to trust you and you to trust yourself? You gotta force yourself to complete them, and it's not even that hard. It's not even that hard, but you see visual proof that look at all these wins. Do you want this? Do you want all these? Do you want this massive level up? These are days. Like each and every like row is a day. These are months of straight wins. Do you understand this? Months and months and months is huge. And also keep your promises. Whatever you say you will do, just go and do it. Give yourself promises throughout the day with what, even especially what you don't feel like doing, with your work tasks or other discipline stuff, and then go and do it. Go and achieve it. When you do that and complete the promises, you will get a huge confidence boost, and you can use this as well when you don't feel like doing something. You use this for discipline as well, because otherwise you'll feel massive regret and guilt and shame, deep shame, intrinsic shame, because you didn't keep that promise. Because the more you break promises, bro, the more you say, the more you just don't do things that you said you will do, the more your self-trust will go lower. How do you expect to become more disciplined and be able to trust yourself that you'll complete your work and be more disciplined and be more mature, therefore, and disciplined, therefore, if you actually don't keep your promises, you don't even get whatever you said you gotta do done. You gotta get it done. Gotta get it done. And this is visual proof. Keep your every promise and take it each and every single box. You will see a huge meteoric rise, if that makes sense. I heard that expression somewhere. In your productivity and discipline. You'll see a huge development in your level of discipline or standard that you have. Right. So next thing is, simply put standards for yourself and values. Because if you don't know what you stand for, of course you'll mess up with productivity, with whatever. Open a document and just put certain values that you will stick by, that you gotta stick by. So for example, what they are for me, I believe, and I have certain a value that I live by, the principle of purpose over pleasure. Purpose over pleasure, and I operate based on that. And also put helping people first. That's another thing. That's another one of my values. Another thing is, pleasure is not happiness, right? So you might say, oh, but Sebastian, these bad habits, I know they're bad for me, but they make me feel great. Happy, they don't make you feel happy. They make you feel good for a little bit, and then you feel massive regret. And also, your dopamine levels just drop down simply because it's too high of a high. And after that, of course, you gotta regulate, so it will the down will match the high. So you'll feel exponentially worse. Of course, that's how it works. That's why you feel so bad. But if you actually do things that are good for you, that some good habits, you'll feel actually happy. You know? The true happiness, I believe, that comes from purpose, from helping people, from doing good habits, from having great relationships with people, and with God, with Jesus. 100%. And staying in nature and whatever other good habits, all this. And another part of my values and standards, I always keep my word. Whatever I say I will do, I go and do it each and every single time. And you gotta do this as well. So make a list of standards and of values that you stick by. Because so many people will say, just be yourself. What if you don't even know who you are or what you stand for? What if you don't even like who you are, like most people? That's what you gotta do then. Set some standards and values that you want to have if you don't have them already. And just start operating based on them. Because if you don't, then where do you expect to go? Set some standards. Okay, 10 p.m. go to bed. 6 a.m. wake up. From 6 a.m. to like these many hours, especially in the weekend, right? From 6 a.m. to like 2:30 or whatever, 12 or however much you want. But like a bunch of hours. Just work on that one thing and just get it done. Monk mode became so easy. I could trust me, bro. I could not do it. I tried monk mode so many times. It did not work for me until I read this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, and it became so simple when I just stripped away all my schedule until 2:30 p.m. and I just focused on one simple thing, just making the videos, and not just making them, researching information for them, making a script, literally reading an entire book and taking notes from that, and applying that in my own life, and then teaching it to you guys through this video. And you saw the video, it's already on the channel. It's called, I think, The One Thing You Need for Productivity or something like that. You gotta check. I might have changed it by that time. But point is, set yourself certain standards that you don't want to break. If you do this, you'll have certain targets and directions. Because imagine, for example, if I'm running, right? If I didn't give myself any goal or target of the distance I want to run for, or the time that I gotta spend running, I would have quit way sooner, because yes, the body could go for way longer, but the mind just felt discomfort. But simply because I had that goal, that motivation, is that motivation? Look, motivation comes from the word motive, and that means reason. The motivation of why you do this, the motive, the reason of why you do this is the goal itself. Now, it will still feel hard, especially, for example, when running or when you don't feel like doing something. But then you use discipline because you want the goal. If you didn't care about the goal, if you didn't have that motivation for the goal, you wouldn't care about it. You wouldn't care about it. But of course, you gotta care about the goal, so that's your motive, your motivation. But when times get hard, that's when you use discipline, because the goal still matters. That's the thing. And so you do all these things, and that's it. That's what I've learned across quite some months now, and it helped me so much in my character development, in my discipline standard and level. And you will truly understand, wait, the idea of I don't feel like doing work, that you gotta do, by the way, it's just childish. It sounds silly to me now. Oh, I don't feel like working. Are you a child at kindergarten? I mean, you for real? Get your work done, whatever, however, no matter how you feel. Of course, if you're sick, if you're this and that, but even then people work. But whatever, the point is, if you feel fine, if you're alive, if this and that, and you want to become more productive, well, go and focus on that thing. Of course, keep your mental health great. It doesn't mean you need to stay in the house all day. That's just stupid. Of course not. The point is, schedule quite some hours in. You just focus on that one thing that is the most important task for you, right? What's your goal, and then what's the priority to achieve that goal? And when you understand this and spend a lot of time doing that without distractions in between, but actually just do everything later and just do the one thing, that's when you'll make huge exponential progress. That's when you'll increase your discipline massively. And by the way, if you want more help with this in detail on how to become more disciplined through a system that I've used to change my life, I've been using this for months. And if you want more help with this in detail on how what system I used to become exponentially more disciplined, and I've been using it for months, you can get my help. The link is in the description. And yeah, go there and also watch more videos. And I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Peace.